LSU is our 40 and 40 team today at number 11, Brownie, where we are.
Jacob Hester played a great career for LSU and then went on to the NFL.
Spilt that blood.
Spilt that blood in Tiger Stadium
Bengal
under the
Tigers.
lights. What's up, Hester? How are you?
I'm doing well. Always a pleasure to come on with y'all. A long time ago, but that did happen way back in the day. I try to remind my kids of that, but when I show them the highlights, they say it's a little too grainy for them to make sure it was actually me playing for LSU then.
It's the on your wall of jerseys behind you. I think the LSU jersey's the second best behind the Charger powder blue. Bottom center powder blue. I go number 1. LSU white. I think I go.
I think I
two.
go LSU white 1.
Would you in front of the Charger powder blue?
I think the powder blue is a little overrated.
Oh,
I like it, but I think it's a
Oh,
little.
and we were off to such a good start. The Charger powder blue is just chef's kiss. It's my favorite. Now the one right above my head, the old AFL throwbacks. That was a fun year with Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, Chargers. We all had our AFL jerseys. Now those are probably my favorites to ever wear.
So when
the NFL,
when we were previewing LSU earlier, I got called delusional because I brought up Garrett Nussmeier, and I said, who knows? Maybe he could be T. Martin, and this could be Tennessee from 1998. Like, I believe in Brian Kelly, and people are like, he's not that great of a coach. He hasn't accomplished. And I'm like, dude, look what he did at Notre Dame, and he's won 20 games in 2 years, been to an SEC championship, Heisman Trophy winner. The defense was a disaster. But tell me why this could be a dark horse national championship contender this year.
Yeah, so you're right about, winning 20 games, and the expectation at LSU is to win double-digit games. We all understand that, but what he took over was not great. I mean, LSU before, Brian Kelly takes over, they were steady and going along, and 2019 was great, but then, it just crashed. In 2020 and 21, you're under 500, which was the first time in over 20 years for LSU football not to go to a bowl game. And so what he takes over, it was honestly, it was like kind of a dumpster fire, right? And so you take that over. Year number 1, nobody had LSU going to the SEC championship game. They do that, and then last year they get 10 wins as well, but still they want to raise their level of play. And Garrett Nussmeier is somebody that, he's a unicorn. Nobody sticks around and waits for their turn anymore in college football. Certainly somebody that when he's played, he's been really good. Like, you look at that SEC championship game against one of the historic Georgia defenses, he came in. The moment certainly wasn't too big for him. Now, LSU lost the game. We all know that. They give up 50 points. But, Nussmeier made play after play. We saw him in the bowl game go 90-plus yards to beat Wisconsin. So there's a lot of faith in Garrett Nussmeier. One of the reasons I think LSU is going to be more well-rounded, because you had the number 1 offense in the country last year. It was historic. We all know that. You're probably still going to be in the top 15 offensively this year. And your hope is you're not 106 in total defense. Now, you don't have to be the 85 Bears. You just have to be not awful on defense like you were a year ago at 106. If you're 60th, if you're 55th, right? We're talking about a completely different LSU football team. And that's why you go make changes on all 3 levels. You get Bo Davis and Blake Baker, and Corey Raymond comes back. So you spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort to change up everything on defense because, you needed wholesale changes. And so for that reason alone, I think you'll see LSU kind of in the same position they were a year ago, right? You win 10 games, you had close losses, you lose to Ole Miss, last play of the game to go win it. And outside of Florida State, where you never were in that game in the second half, you had a chance even in your losses. And so I think LSU is going to be a more well-rounded team. Even though the offense will take a step back, it won't be a huge jump back.
Nothing's more boring to me than talking about blocking, but I understand you can't win without blocking. And I know you did it very well as well. You were a great runner and blocker. This LSU offensive line seems to be the real deal. Now, you got a lot of great ones in the SEC, but talk about LSU, what they have back in the O-line. Is it good enough to be championship quality?
I think it is. You have both guards and both tackles back, and DJ Chester taking over at the center position was a highly rated recruit coming out of high school. Not to besmirch Charles Turner, but he was at one time a tight end at LSU, and then he turned into a pretty good center, played the Senior Bowl, the whole deal. But I think you have more talent at the center position, and then you've got 2 of the best tackles in the country. I think Will Campbell, and I know this is an offensive lineman, I think Will Campbell's the best player in college football. Ooh. Like, I truly believe that about Will Campbell. I think he is that kind of player. And on the other side, right, Emory Jones, He's not far off. I mean, he's a top 5 tackle across the country. And so your bookend tackles are 2 of the best 5 that play the position in the sport. That's going to give you a chance in almost every game that you play. You look at Dellinger, you look at how many starts he's had in his career. You've got, so much experience across that offensive line. And I think it's going to give a quarterback that, look, Garrett Nussmeier's not a young guy, doesn't have a lot of starts. He has 1 start, actually. Now, he's played a lot, but he's got 1 start under his belt. That just it helps you ease into your role as a starting quarterback. And I think it's the best offensive line in the country. It's LSU's biggest selling point, and it starts with those 2 tackles you've got.
Jacob Hester is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. At Jacob Hester 18 is where you find him on social media. You hear him on SiriusXM Off the Bench with T-Bob. They're in the state of Louisiana, does tremendous work there. He's talking some LSU football with us. I would say true or false, LSU's defense can't get worse, but I know that's true. How much better can it realistically get? What was it, 28 points per game? Is that right?
Yeah, 27.8 points per game.
I mean, give me a target, Hester. I mean, how much can you improve a defense year to year?
They're not going to be the number 5 defense in the country. You can't make a leap like that. I think there was holes on this roster. They tried to fill some of them. They did an okay job on the defensive front to try to add some bodies. Linebackers, probably their strongest position. They've got some real players there. We talk a lot about Harold Perkins. I love Whit Weeks. I think he is going to be somebody that the country knows who he is by the end of the year. I love Greg Penn. The defensive backfield, I don't think is as bad as a lot of people are saying. I think you've got young players there. You get Jordan Gilbert to come over from Texas A&M. I like that move there. It's going to come down to the defensive front because you did everything you could, but you didn't get some of the targets that you had out there. I think, though, if we're talking about improvements, I think just knowing what you're doing, knowing that, if we're playing quarter halves, we're playing quarter halves, right? Everybody's on the same page. So many times you'd look up and there would be 10 guys doing one thing and another guy doing a rogue thing. You can't have that. I mean, defensive football, certainly in today's age of throwing the football, going down the field, going against all these highly touted quarterbacks in coverages, you can't be playing something that nobody else is playing. And 7, 8, 9 times in the year, you turn it on, and LSU just looked discombobulated back there. So I think, you still have some talent issues up front as far as the depth that you have. But just because of where I think you're going to learn from Blake Baker and be in the right spot and not be doing your own thing, I think for that reason, LSU is going to be much better on defense. Again, I am not saying they're going to be a top 5, top 10, top 15. They're probably going to live somewhere between 45 and 65. But when you were 106 last year, that might be enough improvement to go with a top-tier offense, which I think they're going to be, to have, again, a similar chance last year, right? 1 or 2 of those games go your way in a new 12-team playoff, you're in it.
So back to Harold Perkins Jr., when you said, hey, this roster might have the best player in college football, most people wouldn't have gone Will Campbell. Most people would have said probably Harold Perkins, but a lot of people thought he was misutilized, mispositioned last year, going from the edge to playing some inside. Just talk about that in general, and Blake Baker now coming in and taking this defense over. Where will Perkins play?
Yeah, so actually Harold Perkins ended up being kind of a nickel Sam last year, believe it or not. Like, you typically don't take your best edge rusher and put him as a nickel Sam, but that's what LSU did last year. And look, he can do almost anything on a football field, and so he actually held his own. But I don't want Harold Perkins covering the slot. Like, that's not what his skill set is. I would rather have him as a stack backer if you're not going to have him as an edge rusher. So I think the plan this year is going to be 1st and 2nd down. You'll see Harold Perkins because he's not a 3-down edge rusher. He doesn't have that kind of size. Can he affect the game? Yes, but if you want him at his best, I think it's inside the box on 1st and 2nd down. On 3rd down, let him go. Tell him, go get the quarterback, look like Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys. That's what you need to do with him. And Blake Baker, he's got a couple of linebackers on his resume that make you believe he can get the most out of Harold Perkins. But if LSU fans are looking for a comp, look at Damone Clark. Everybody in Baton Rouge said, Damone Clark can't play. Well, Blake Baker gets here as a linebacker coach, and Damone Clark starts for the Dallas Cowboys now and is one of their best players on defense. Right, because Blake Baker saw something in him. I remember having conversations with Blake, and the LSU's about to play Kentucky. He's like, people told me this guy can't play, and I don't know if I'm crazy or if I'm missing something, but I think he is a Sunday player. Well, lo and behold, he is a Sunday player. He's a Sunday starter, and so Blake is going to get the most out of that unit. I think Harold Perkins is going to have a lot of different roles. I just hope it's not as a nickel Sam, because that's just not where he's at best. Like, again, he can hold his own. I want him getting after the quarterback on third downs. Again, I'll go back to Whit Weeks. Look for Whit Weeks to be somebody in Blake Baker's defense that, again, everyone in the SEC is going to know who he is because of his growth under Blake Baker.
Harder to co-host a show with T-Bob after a night with the guys out on the town, or EJ Manuel with a month in Germany? I mean, you've got some challenges in your career right now.
Oh, that is such a great question. So we call T-Bob T-Cabo now, because he has been in Cabo twice since April. Actually, his stepfather owns a home there. And so it's basically like, we all go down to 30A, or we go down to somewhere in the Panhandle, Gold might be. That's what Cabo is to T-Bob. And so when he's let loose, right, he always says, if you want to soar with the if you want to hoot with the Owls, you got to soar with the Eagles in the morning. That's always his saying, and I give him credit. He does that pretty well. And then EJ, he's in Germany for a month. That's where his wife's from. We got some Wi-Fi issues in Germany, right? And I can understand why, but we got to get this deal fixed. And then I've got Bobby Carpenter, who, look, this is a term of endearment coming from me. He's the biggest meathead of them all. He's basically trying to do push-ups and curls in between not only the breaks, but asking questions to somebody that we have on the show. I'll be going, it's my turn, and I look up, and Bobby's got a bar doing curls during the interview. And so I've got a lot of challenges.
Lance used to do that in our morning radio days. He'd get his morning workout in commercial breaks.
Well, I mean, we were going through COVID, Hester, and so we were doing the show from my basement. And so instead of us just hanging out on the couch talking between break, I'd run in and get some reps.
Well, Bobby does that, but he also does it again. And I would like to tell you that he puts his microphone on mute, but he does not. And also, Bobby Carpenter has never met a protein that he doesn't enjoy, again, during the show. And I often tell him, hey, you don't have one of those microphones that cancels out the noise. You're on a headset. I can hear the smacking. But does he care? No, he just continues on with the meatheadness.
No, I cannot listen to smacking. That's where I would draw the line. He lift all the weights he wants. He cannot smack in my ears. All right, go follow Hester on Twitter at Jacob Hester 18. Hear him on SiriusXM. And when T-Bob is in the United States of America, off the bench with T-Bob there in Louisiana. Always fun, Hester. Thank you very much for the time, buddy.
Yeah, always appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, man. We'll see you soon. Jacob with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
I mean, tell me about T-Bob and Cabo. Would that not be a good trip?